You know that feeling. The room goes quiet. All eyes shift toward you. Someone just said something. About you, at you, in front of everyone. Maybe it was a joke that wasn't a joke. Maybe it was a correction that didn't need an audience. Maybe it was a comment designed to make you look small, so they could look big. And in that moment, your face goes hot, your mind goes blank, your chest tightens. And later, hours later, lying awake at 1 a.m, you finally think of everything you should have said. This video is about what to actually do in that moment. Not what revenge fantasies tell you, not what the internet tells you, what psychology tells you. Because how you respond to public humiliation in the next 5 seconds either hands that person permanent power over you or takes it back entirely.
Let me paint a scene. You're in a meeting, maybe at work, maybe at a family dinner, maybe in a group of friends you've known for years. You say something, offer an idea, share an opinion. Maybe you make a small mistake, and someone, without hesitation, responds with something sharp, something public, something designed to land. That's not how it works, said with a smirk. Typical, said to the room, not to you. I honestly don't know how you got this far. And the worst part? People laugh, or they go quiet, or they look away, which somehow feels even worse than the laughter. In that moment, something happens inside you that is deeply, biologically human. Your nervous system registers a threat, not a physical threat, but something your ancient brain processes as equally dangerous: social death. The fear of being cast out, of being seen as less than, of losing your place in the group. And every instinct in your body screams one of two things: fight back immediately or disappear completely. Neither of those, as it turns out, is the move.
Before we talk about what you do, let's talk about what they're doing and why. Because understanding the psychology of the person who humiliated you is the fastest way to stop giving them what they came for. Humiliation is a power transaction. Here is the dark truth most people never consider. Public humiliation is never really about you. It is about them and the specific psychological need they are trying to meet by bringing you down in front of others. Think about what happens socially when someone humiliates another person successfully. The humiliator rises in perceived status. They appear dominant, witty, confident. The audience, consciously or not, reassigns social power in that moment. That is what they are buying with your dignity. They are not reacting to something genuinely wrong with you. They are shopping, and you happen to be the item on the shelf that was easiest to reach. The shame-aggression cycle. Psychological research is very clear on this. People who regularly humiliate others publicly are almost always operating from a deep, chronic reservoir of shame. Not the healthy kind of shame, the small, corrective discomfort you feel when you've genuinely done something wrong. The other kind, the kind built over years, the kind that says, I am fundamentally not enough. I am one moment away from being exposed.
The only way that internal experience becomes temporarily tolerable is by externalizing it, by finding someone else to carry it for a moment. When they humiliate you, they are offloading shame. You are not the target. You are the container. The audience is the weapon. Here is the piece of dark psychology that makes public humiliation uniquely painful and uniquely calculated. The audience is the whole point. A private insult can be dismissed. A public one cannot, because witnesses create a social record. Other people saw it. Other people heard it. Now it exists in the shared reality of the group. The humiliator knows this. Whether they know it consciously or instinctively, they chose the public moment deliberately. Because the audience amplifies the wound. The audience is the weapon. Which means, and stay with me here, the audience is also your greatest tool for recovery. More on that in a moment. the freeze response, and why your mind went blank. If you've ever been humiliated and felt your mind go completely empty in the moment, you were not being weak. You were experiencing a neurological event. When the brain perceives a sudden social threat, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for language, reasoning, and wit, partially goes offline. Stress hormones flood in. The survival brain takes over. This is why the perfect response always comes to you 3 hours later. Your clever, articulate self was temporarily offline. The threat response was driving. Knowing this matters because it means you need a preloaded response, not something you invent in the moment, something already installed, ready to run when your verbal brain has stepped out of the room.
Now, here is what emotional intelligence looks like in the 5 seconds after someone humiliates you in public. Step 1, do not react. Respond. There is a critical difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is immediate, emotional, and uncontrolled. It hands the other person exactly what they wanted, proof that they got to you, proof that the power transfer worked. A response is deliberate, measured, and in the context of public humiliation, a deliberate non-reaction is the single most powerful thing you can do. When you pause, when you don't flinch, don't get loud, don't fall apart, you communicate something devastating to the person who just tried to diminish you. You didn't land. That pause is not weakness. That pause is control. And in the social theater of humiliation, the person who appears most in control holds the most power. Step 2, the slow look. Before you say a single word, make eye contact. Not aggressive eye contact, not hurt eye contact. Calm eye contact. Hold it for 2 beats longer than is comfortable. What this does psychologically is extraordinary. It signals that you are not afraid of them, that you are not scrambling, that you see them fully and you are not impressed. Most people who humiliate others expect one of 2 responses, visible hurt or angry retaliation. Both confirm their power. Calm, steady eye contact confirms nothing, except that you are not the person they assumed they were dealing with.
Step 3, use the redirect or the calm question. Once you speak, keep your voice low, not whispered, low and steady. Here are responses that work, not because they're clever comebacks, but because they redirect the social power in the room. Interesting. Say more about that. This is psychologically brutal in the best way. It forces the humiliator to either expand on their attack, which requires them to commit further, publicly, or back down. Most people who humiliate from insecurity cannot withstand being invited to explain themselves at length. The room shifts. I'm going to let that one go, said calmly, with a slight half smile. This response publicly acknowledges what happened, which the audience appreciates, while demonstrating that you operate from a position of choice, not reaction. You could respond. You chose not to. Did you mean that the way it sounded? This is a trap door. It gives the humiliator one exit. Oh no, I was just joking, while making it unmistakably clear to everyone in the room that you know exactly what they were doing. The social record is corrected, without you raising your voice once. Step 4, control the narrative after. The humiliation happened in public. Your recovery needs to be public too. Not with anger, with composure. How you behave in the 30 minutes following a public humiliation matters enormously. If you shut down, leave the room, or visibly spiral, the humiliator story wins. If you continue normally, talking, laughing, being present, you rewrite the ending. People in the room are watching, and what they will remember is not the moment you were attacked. They will remember how you handled it.
Let's zoom out for a moment, because this isn't just about one incident. This is about something fundamental to how human social groups have always functioned. Status hierarchies are ancient and automatic. Every group of human beings, from families to corporate offices to friend circles to nations, operates within an invisible hierarchy. Status in that hierarchy is constantly being negotiated, not always consciously, not always fairly, but constantly. Public humiliation is one of the oldest tools in that negotiation. It was used in ancient courts, in schoolyards, in political arenas, in every environment where people compete for position, visibility, and respect. What has never changed across thousands of years of human social behavior is this. The person who cannot be rattled rises in status. Not the person who wins every argument, not the loudest voice in the room, not the one with the sharpest comeback. The one who remains grounded when everything around them is designed to destabilize. Calmness, in the context of social aggression, is read by every human nervous system in the room as strength. It is evolutionarily ancient. It is immediate, and it does not require a single word. Why bystanders matter, and why they stayed silent. One of the most painful parts of public humiliation isn't the attack itself. It's the silence of the people around you. Friends who said nothing, colleagues who looked.
Here is the part of this video that will either frustrate you or free you. Maybe both. The person who humiliated you, in the weeks and months after it happened, you thought about it far more than they did. You replayed it. You rehearsed responses. You felt the heat of it in your chest at random moments. You brought it to therapy. You talked about it with your best friend at midnight. And they, the person who did it, almost certainly moved on within the hour. Not because what they did wasn't significant. It was. But because for them, it was a moment of function, a need briefly met, and then done. And here is the painful twist inside that reality. The ongoing suffering of public humiliation is almost entirely self-administered. Not caused by you, caused to you, but extended, sustained by the story you kept telling about it. The story where it meant something permanent about your worth. The story where everyone remembers it as vividly as you do. The story where recovering from it makes you weak instead of human. None of those stories are true. The real question, the one that changes everything, is not how do I get back at them? It is how long am I willing to let a 3-minute moment define how I see myself? Because you get to answer that, not them. You.
I want you to think about someone you respect deeply. Someone with real dignity. Someone who carries themselves with quiet confidence. Not arrogance, not aggression. Just a kind of settled certainty in who they are. Now ask yourself, has that person ever been humiliated? Ever been caught off guard? Ever had someone try to take them apart in front of others? Of course they have. The difference between them and someone who never recovered from those moments isn't that they had better comebacks. It's that they developed an internal foundation that public moments could not shake. A sense of self that was not dependent on how any room full of people perceived them at any given second. That is what you are building right now. Not by watching this video once, but by deciding today that your worth is not a thing that can be given or taken in a public setting by someone who is fighting their own invisible war. The person who humiliated you was afraid of something. You do not have to carry their fear. You do not have to become smaller to make their need for dominance feel valid. And you do not have to be loud or angry or perfectly articulate in the moment to walk out of that room with your dignity completely intact. You just have to remember one thing. Who you are does not require anyone's approval to be real. Not the room's approval, not theirs, and most importantly, not the harshest, most unforgiving critic of all. The voice in your own head that replays it at 1 a.m. Tell that voice what you now know. And then, finally, let it rest. If you've experienced this, if this hit somewhere real, drop a comment. You don't have to share the details. Just write, I need it.